Before the world ends, every tear, every funeral, every broken dream will vanish into light, because the Bible speaks of a new earth, a new heaven, and a city shining with the glory of God. This is not a distant fantasy, not clouds and harps and endless silence, but a living promise of a real world where sorrow is no more and every heart is healed. Revelation 21 whispers of golden streets like crystal, of a holy city descending, of God dwelling face to face with his people. And if this sounds impossible, that is exactly why it shakes the soul, for what no eye has seen and no ear has heard, God has prepared for those who love him. Why has this vision been hidden, ignored, or dismissed for centuries? Why do so many live as if the new earth were a metaphor, when Scripture reveals it as the ultimate reality? Could it be that we have traded the fire of eternal hope for shadows of temporary comfort? These questions pierce like arrows, calling us to look deeper, to hunger for truth that heals the wounds of the present world. In this journey, you will discover what the new earth truly is, why it is not a dream, but a divine blueprint, and how every promise, no more death, no more mourning, no more pain, was written for your soul. We will explore the beauty of God's city, the justice of his reign, the healing of the nations, and the eternal joy of worship. And as you listen, let your heart dare to imagine a future where every scar is erased, every fear silenced, every longing fulfilled. So I ask you, if the Bible reveals a home beyond imagination, would you dare to believe it? And if this vision stirs something inside you, tell me in the comments what promise speaks most to your soul. Let us walk together, like pilgrims of hope, until the day we step into the new earth God has prepared. And if this message touches you, like and subscribe so that more hearts can be healed by the hope of his word. God dwelling among his people, the fulfillment of Eden. From the very beginning, the heartbeat of creation was intimacy. In the cool of Eden's mornings, Adam and Eve walked beside their Creator, hearing his voice not as a distant echo, but as a living presence that breathed peace into their souls. Imagine the warmth of that fellowship, the world unbroken, no shadows of guilt, no walls of shame, only harmony, laughter, and the radiant glow of God's nearness. Yet, when sin entered, that sacred bond was shattered, and humanity has carried the ache of separation ever since. Every temple, every sacrifice, every whispered prayer in the night has been a cry to return to that closeness. The new earth is the answer to that longing, a restoration of what was lost. God's promise is not a metaphor. It is the unveiling of a reality more tangible than the ground beneath our feet. In the New Jerusalem, no distance will remain. God himself will dwell with his people, and his presence will fill every breath like sunlight flooding a valley after a storm. Think of the countless people searching today, lonely in crowded cities, chasing love, yet finding emptiness, scrolling through endless screens, yet starving for connection. Their souls echo the ache of Eden, and only the voice of God can fill that silence. On the new earth, there will be no doubt, no wondering if he hears. We will hear him call our names, and the joy of his presence will heal every fracture inside us. The lesson here is powerful. What we seek in fleeting pleasures, God has already prepared in fullness. And this hope calls us to live differently now, cultivating moments of silence to feel his nearness, practicing faith as the rehearsal of eternity. If this promise stirs your heart, tell me in the comments how you imagine walking beside God face to face. Let your words be a testimony, for the new earth is not a dream. It is the destiny of those who love him. And as we savor that vision, it opens the path to another truth that touches every human wound, the end of sorrow forever. The end of pain, death, and sorrow. A world without funerals. There are moments in life that leave scars too deep for words. Standing in a hospital corridor as machines beep their final rhythm. Kneeling beside a grave, clutching flowers that cannot reach the one you long to hold again. Waking in the night with silent tears, carrying a weight no one sees. This is the reality of the old earth. Pain woven into our days, grief written into our stories. Yet Scripture speaks with a voice of fire and tenderness. There will be no more death, no more mourning, no more crying, no more pain, for the old order of things has passed away. Imagine a world where funeral processions no longer exist, where cemeteries are transformed into gardens of joy, where empty chairs at the family table are filled again with laughter. The widow of Nain, who saw her son restored by Jesus, tasted one glimpse of that future. But the new earth promises that miracle multiplied to infinity. Every tear wiped away, every wound reversed, every loss redeemed. In today's world, people wrestle with depression, broken families, relentless illness. Some turn to substances, others to fleeting distractions, trying to numb the ache. Yet the Bible's promise is not numbing, but healing, not escape, but renewal. Our scars do not define us. They are only the shadows of a night soon to be erased by morning. The lesson here is profound. Do not let despair convince you that grief has the final word. Death itself will be swallowed up in victory, and life will rise eternal. If you have ever longed for one more embrace, one more word, one more day with someone you lost, the new earth whispers that longing will not go unanswered. Speak in the comments what loss you carry, and let the promise of God's healing wrap around your soul. Because the future is not endless sorrow, it is joy made whole. And from this comfort, the vision unfolds further, leading us to a breathtaking glimpse of a city shining with indescribable beauty. Glory beyond imagination. The beauty of God's city. Lift your eyes and picture it. A city descending from heaven, not built by human hands, but designed by the master architect of the universe. Its streets gleam like transparent gold, clear as crystal. Its gates rise like massive pearls carved from eternity's depths. Its foundations shimmer with sapphire, emerald, amethyst, and stones we have no names for, colors no eye has yet seen. And the light. There is no need for sun or moon, for the glory of God Himself radiates through every corner, turning the entire city into a living jewel. This is not mere decoration. Every detail is a message. Gold refined until transparent speaks of purity without stain. Pearls, formed through pain, symbolize sacrifice turned to beauty. Precious stones, forged in fire, echo the faith of saints refined through trials. Together, they tell the story of God's people, redeemed, restored, radiant in His presence. Think of the greatest wonders of our world, the skyline of New York at night, the stained glass of Notre Dame, the Grand Canyon at dawn. As breathtaking as they are but shadows compared to the city of God. Human architecture crumbles, colors fade, monuments decay, but the beauty of the New Jerusalem will never dim, for its brilliance flows not from stone or metal, but from the eternal light of God's presence. For Americans walking streets filled with violence, poverty and decay, this vision is more than comfort. It is a promise of transformation, that every broken neighborhood will one day be replaced with beauty beyond imagination. The lesson is clear. Do not cling too tightly to fading treasures, for your true home is a masterpiece yet to be unveiled. And if the thought of walking those golden streets stirs your heart, share it. Say what part of that city you long to see first, because what awaits us is not a myth, but the very reality prepared for those who trust him. And as this vision of beauty lifts our spirits, it leads us into the deeper promise of peace and righteousness, where creation itself is healed of its strife. Perfect peace and righteousness, justice, restored. The world we know is often pierced with injustice. News headlines echo with corruption, violence, and betrayal. Children grow up in neighborhoods where fear walks the streets at night, while the innocent are silenced and the guilty seem to prosper. Deep within us, there is an ache, a cry that longs for justice that never fails, and for peace that no hand can shatter. The new earth is God's answer to this longing. Scripture paints a breathtaking image, the wolf dwelling with the lamb, the lion eating straw beside the ox, and a little child leading them without fear. These are not distant metaphors, but prophetic visions of a reality where even the natural order is healed, where violence itself has no place to exist. Imagine stepping outside and never locking your doors again. Imagine raising children in a world without predators, without lies, without cruelty. Every law written in human courts is fragile, but the law of Christ will breathe truth into every corner of creation. Injustice will not be delayed, it will be impossible. This vision holds power for our present lives as well. Too many people surrender to cynicism, believing peace is a political illusion. But peace is not the work of governments, it is the gift of God. The lesson is clear. We must learn even now to sow righteousness and kindness, knowing that eternity is shaped by the seeds we scatter. If this promise resonates with your spirit, share in the comments what injustice you most long to see healed in God's coming kingdom. The reign of Christ will restore the world, and this peace opens the path to the river of life that flows forever. The tree of life and the river of healing, wholeness for the nations. Picture water so pure it sparkles like crystal, flowing from the throne of God down the center of his city. On each side grows the tree of life, heavy with fruit, bearing 12 harvests every year. Its leaves are for the healing of the nations. This is not poetry alone. It is the revelation of a world where every wound is mended. On the new earth, there will be no cancer, no broken minds lost in confusion, no children born into hunger, no veterans carrying invisible scars from war. Healing will not only restore bodies, it will reach into the soul, repairing memories, erasing shame, cleansing the deep pain that medicine cannot touch. Think of a family torn apart by addiction, years of broken trust, leaving scars no therapy could erase. In the new earth, those wounds will be gone, as if bitterness never existed. Think of a nation divided by hatred, its people bruised by generations of conflict. The leaves of the tree will heal even that, binding not just individuals but entire peoples into wholeness again. The thirst humanity has always carried, the ache for love, safety, and meaning, will be quenched at last by the living water of Christ. Even today, we glimpse this in small ways: a prayer that calms anxiety, a song of worship that lifts despair, a touch of kindness that revives hope. These moments are drops from the eternal river that is yet to come. The lesson here is gentle yet powerful. Do not settle for partial healing when God has promised fullness. Our deepest thirsts are not accidents, they are invitations to the river that never runs dry. And as we rest in this vision, our hearts turn toward the final promise, a life of eternal joy where worship itself becomes the air we breathe. Eternal worship and joy. The atmosphere of heaven. On the new earth, worship will not be confined to a building or a time slot. It will be the very atmosphere of life. Every breath will be praise, every heartbeat a song of thanksgiving. John's vision in Revelation describes a multitude from every nation and tribe, clothed in white, their voices rising like thunder in perfect harmony. Salvation belongs to our God. Imagine the sound, billions of voices, each unique yet united, filling eternity with music so pure it cannot fade. There will be no rivalry, no pride, no dissonance, only joy flowing unbroken like a river. Even now, we see glimpses of worship's power. In Acts 16, Paul and Silas, chained in prison, began to sing, and the earth shook until their chains fell away. If worship could open prison doors on earth, what will it be like in heaven where no chains exist at all? For those who have felt worship touch them deeply. A song sung in church that brought tears, a moment in prayer where peace rushed like fire into the heart. Those were only the faint echoes of eternity's chorus. The joy of that day will never end. We will not grow weary, for joy cannot exhaust itself when it flows from God. The lesson is radiant. If you were made to worship, then your truest joy is found not in what you consume, but in what you give. Your heart, your gratitude, your song. Begin now, for worship is not only the destiny of heaven, but the strength of today. And if your spirit longs for that chorus, share your favorite moment of worship in the comments, for even now we join the first notes of a song that will never end. As this promise fills us with hope, it prepares us for the great invitation, to live now as citizens of that eternal kingdom, carrying its joy into a broken world. The mission before the new earth, living with eternal hope. Now, every promise of the new earth is not just a vision for tomorrow, it is an invitation for today. God has painted eternity before our eyes, not to make us withdraw from this broken world, but to empower us to live as bearers of light here and now. If you close your eyes, you can almost hear the sound of that crystal river. You can almost feel the warmth of God's presence that will one day fill every corner of creation. Yet while we wait, He calls us to reflect that light in the midst of darkness. Hope is not passive, it is active. It transforms the way we face trials, how we treat one another, and how we use our days. Think of the times you've sat in silence, overwhelmed by the chaos of news headlines, wars, injustice, sickness spreading like shadows across the earth. In those moments, it is tempting to despair, to surrender to cynicism, to believe the world cannot be healed. But when you remember that the new earth is already written in God's eternal plan, your perspective shifts. Pain is no longer permanent. Injustice is no longer unchallenged. Every tear has an expiration date. This vision gives courage to love when hate is louder, to forgive when bitterness seems justified, to sow seeds of kindness in soil that looks too hard for growth. Consider a soldier returning from war, carrying memories that weigh heavier than his armor ever did. Each night brings battles in his mind. Each day feels like walking in shadows. What can give him strength to endure? It is the hope of a day when wars will cease, when lions and lambs will rest side by side, when his scars will be healed by the leaves of the tree of life. That hope is not far away. It empowers him to rise today, to love his family, to keep breathing, because his story is not finished. Or think of a mother raising children alone, exhausted by the weight of bills and fear. She longs for rest, for security, for peace. The vision of the new earth whispers to her, this struggle is not forever. Every sleepless night, every tear will be turned to joy. That promise does not erase her responsibilities, but it gives her strength to keep going, to raise her children in love, to believe that even in her weakness, God's strength is revealed. Living with eternal hope means we begin to practice now what will be perfected then. On the new earth, worship will be the atmosphere of life. So why not begin each morning with gratitude, turning ordinary breath into prayer? On the new earth, peace will cover creation like waters cover the sea. So why not be a peacemaker now, choosing reconciliation over resentment? On the new earth, justice will flow like a river, so why not stand for truth today, even when it costs us comfort? Each act of faithfulness is a rehearsal for eternity. One of the greatest mistakes believers make is to treat heaven as an escape hatch, a place we flee to when life gets unbearable. But the Bible teaches that the vision of heaven, of the new earth, is meant to shape how we live in this very moment. Jesus prayed, "Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven." That means every smile offered to a stranger, every hand extended to the poor, every word of encouragement spoken into despair is a piece of heaven touching the earth. These small acts carry eternal weight because they are aligned with the future God has promised. Imagine your life as a candle burning in the night. Alone, the flame may seem small, but when joined with others, it becomes a blaze that pushes back the darkness. Communities of faith, united in hope, can transform cities. Churches that carry the vision of the new earth can become hospitals for the broken, sanctuaries of healing in a culture that wounds. Injustice may still rage outside, but inside, the presence of God testifies that a better world is coming, and that testimony draws others near, thirsting for hope. The lesson here is simple, but life-changing. Eternity is not only about where you are going, it is about how you are living now. The promise of the new earth is not an invitation to wait idly, but to live fully, to let love, righteousness, and worship flow through your days as a foretaste of forever. If you believe God is preparing a place for you, then begin living as if that place has already shaped your heart. Let your conversations carry healing. Let your choices reflect eternity. Let your life be a letter of hope written to a weary world. So I ask you, how would your days change if you truly believed that every sorrow has an end? Every injustice will be undone, and every act of love will echo into eternity. Share your thoughts in the comments, because your story of hope may awaken faith in someone else who is struggling. The new earth is not just about the future. It is God's call to live now as citizens of His kingdom, radiating peace, justice, and healing until the day we step into the fullness of His promise. And from this mission flows the greatest invitation of all, the decision to enter the story God is writing, to choose His eternal kingdom, and to believe that you belong in the home He is preparing. When the final words of Revelation echo, "Behold, I am making all things new," it is not just a line on ancient parchment. It is a promise that breathes life into weary hearts even today. Imagine it, the world you see now, bruised and broken by sorrow, transformed into a new earth where no funeral procession will ever pass, no child will ever cry from hunger, no family will ever sit at a table marked by absence. The streets will glisten with gold so pure it reflects the glory of God like crystal, and the air will be thick with peace, joy, and healing. Every scar you have carried in silence, every hidden wound, every tear you thought no one saw, will be gathered in His hands and turned into beauty. That is not a dream. It is your future, written by the God who cannot lie. Hope is not meant to sit on the shelf of tomorrow. It is a fire to live by today. If you hold this vision close, you will find strength to forgive when bitterness whispers in your ear, courage to choose kindness when anger feels easier, and peace to walk forward even when the road is steep. Every act of love is a rehearsal for eternity. Every prayer is a seed of the new heaven and new earth already sprouting in your life. Do you realize that the choices you make now echo forever? That your quiet faith, your whispered song, your unseen sacrifices are shaping a story far greater than you can imagine? Think of the lives that will be healed when you share this hope. Picture someone sitting alone tonight, scrolling through endless noise, weighed down by grief, and stumbling upon a message like this. Imagine their tears softening, their heart lifting, as the words remind them they are not forgotten, that the God who created galaxies also knows their name. That is the power of the promise. You carry it not just for yourself, but for a world desperate to hear it. And that is why we share it here, together, weaving light into the fabric of the internet, planting seeds of eternity in hearts that may not even know they are hungry until the truth touches them. I know life can feel like an endless storm. Some of you have lost people you love more than life itself. Some have battled sickness, depression, or loneliness so deep that mornings felt impossible. Some of you are fighting in silence, praying with words that feel too heavy to speak. But listen closely. Every shadow is temporary. The suffering you carry will not outlast the joy that is coming. Romans 8:18 reminds us, "Our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us." Hold on to that. Let it sink into the deepest parts of your heart. The pain is real, but so is the promise. And so I want to ask you, what part of this vision speaks most to you? Is it the thought of walking beside God with nothing between you, hearing His voice as clearly as you hear mine now? Is it the dream of reunion, of seeing again those you thought you had lost forever? Is it the healing of wounds you thought could never mend? Share it in the comments. Let your words be light for someone else who might be reading in silence, aching for hope. Sometimes the testimony of your heart is the very spark another soul needs to keep believing. If this message has touched you, if it has stirred even a flicker of comfort or healing in your spirit, I gently invite you to stay connected. Like this video, subscribe, and let us walk this journey together. Each click, each share is not just a number, it is a ripple of light reaching further than you can see. And if you feel in your heart a desire to support, to pour a little energy into this work so that these words can continue flowing into the lives of many, know that every gesture, no matter how small, carries eternal weight. It is not about the size of the gift, but the love behind it, and from my heart I say thank you. Because together we are more than listeners and speakers. We are a family of hope, carrying the vision of the New Jerusalem in a world that desperately needs healing. The day is coming when you will stand on that golden street, when laughter will replace every sigh, when the presence of God will be the only light you need. Until then, keep holding on, keep walking by faith, keep lifting your eyes to the horizon of eternity. And remember, one day soon, every dark night will give way to dawn, and you will see with your own eyes the beauty God has been preparing all along. So let us not just wait for the new earth. Let us live with its hope now. Let us be healers, peacemakers, worshippers, and lovers of truth in the middle of a broken age. And as we do, may the world catch a glimpse of what eternity looks like, shining through us. Until that day comes, may your heart be steady, your hope unshakable, and your soul anchored in the promise that God Himself will dwell with you forever. And if this vision fills you with peace, let me know in the comments, because hope is multiplied when it is shared. Like, subscribe, and let us continue to spread the light of His word together. Thank you with all my heart.